All right, decoders, welcome back to the channel. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I think everything's working. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if the sound is good. And yeah, hope you guys are well as usual. Welcome to Donald Trump's birthday, and we have a fitting decode on Donald Trump's birthday. And this one is absolutely insane. I mean, I know that I say that all the time, but I mean, when I'm about ready to show you, should once again be undeniable about Donald Trump and his interview with Logan Paul yesterday. Hello, Cruzita and Jack. And hello, my girlfriend, Magdalena. Kisses. What a pretty little picture you put in there. I like that. Patty Watson. Hello. Jose. Hello. And Sylvia. Hope you guys are all good. Much love to you all. And yeah, so we're gonna give people a few minutes, and then we're gonna jump right in. Sean is in the chat. What's up, brother? Hopefully you can still jump on with me. I'll try to get through this somewhat quick, and hopefully Sean will have some time to jump on. So let me get set up here, and we'll start rolling. But hopefully everyone understands what I'm about ready to show them. It's absolutely insane info. So. And again, this just proves that I've been on point. I've been talking about Crowley just days before this, and now this interview is completely scripted, or whatever you want to call it. It's all around Crowley and the Book of the Law, and I'll show you how it's connected to Jack Parsons, how it's connected to Crowley, how it's connected to the 666, the magic tricks, the Houdini, all that stuff. And hello, Coffee Girl. Hope you're doing well. We'll give another minute, let some more people jump in, and then we'll get started. But yeah, hopefully I can bring Sean on later too. So anyways, guys, this interview yesterday was obviously one day before Trump's birthday, right? It was on the day leaving 201 days in the year. We know how big the 201 is. I'm going to talk a little bit about the 201. And yeah, it's completely connected to the Book of the Law by Aleister Crowley. Okay, so here we go. Seems like the algorithm is really holding things back lately. I don't know what's going on. Only 40 people right now, but we'll get started. So just a little recap of my last decode. If you guys didn't watch it, the abracadabra decode, you guys might understand. So Trump is possibly the moonchild of L. Ron Hubbard and Parsons, and basically the moonchild. Okay, so I'm going to talk about that real quick before we get into the other info. But so the number 93 is written right on the front of the Book of the Law, and so is the number 418. We're going to talk about the number 418 here. We're not going to talk so much about the 93. I talked about the 93 in the last decode. But again, Thelema in Greek equals 93. That's the name of the religion, right? Equals 93 in Greek. That's the name of the religion. He has the 93 in Roman numerals posted on the front of his book, and it says 93 equals 418. Okay, so this 418 is also important. Remember, the same day Trump was getting convicted, you had Luka Doncic, okay, who was leading his team to the finals, equals 93. Moonchild, okay, which is what they were trying to create, right? And then the magic word is abracadabra. So if you type in magic word, it also equals 93, okay? And again, the Roman numeral right on the front of the book is 93, okay? Also, I forgot, the name of the book, Liber al Veliges, equals 93, okay? So perfect number here, but we're not going to talk about so much about this number. But I showed you guys in the last video this letter that was written on Trump's birthday. So that means it was written exactly, supposedly 78 years ago today. Remember, today is Trump's birthday. So this letter was written from Aleister Crowley to Grady McMurtry. And it was saying that these two people, Jack Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard, are trying to create a moonchild. Okay. And again, I showed you that Trump was born 93 days after Elron's birthday, which is the Gematria of moonchild. And I just showed you the 93 is the big number associated with Thelema, okay? So 93 days after L. Ron Hubbard, this letter written by Aleister Crowley about L. Ron creating a moonchild on Trump's actual birthday, and he's born 93 days after L. Ron, okay? And of course, Trump equals moonchild, guys. Donald Trump equals moonchild, and sorceries and witchcraft and magic word all in the same cipher, 48. You guys will also know that the eclipse was on 4/8 this year, and I've got 48 in the chat. How funny. And remember, when Aleister Crowley channeled this book of the law, it was on 4/8, guys, okay? Aleister Crowley channeled this book apparently on 4/8/1904. The eclipse this year was on 4/8/2024. I'm going to show you that later, but it's clear that this 48 is huge, okay? So with that being said, with that out of the way, now that we know that Trump is connected, go watch my last video if you want the full details, okay? But so now we're going to talk about the Trump interview yesterday. But first, in order to understand this, we need to understand how important the 418 is to the book of the law, okay? So first of all, the 418 is literally on the front of the book. So how much more obvious does it need to be, okay? But not only that, guys, if you read this, look at this. The section is called Gematria, okay? And this is on Wikipedia. Abrahadabra, Aleister Crowley's word equals 418. I'm still not sure how it equals 418. Does anyone know in the chat how abrahadabra equals 418? If someone can figure that out for me, please let me know. But the big thing here is if you take the Greek word for the angel that gave him the book of the law, Awas, if you type that in the Greek way, in Greek, 418, it equals 418. Also, if you type in the Hebrew spelling of Hero Raha, which is also part of this, it equals 418. So this whole book is connected to the 418. That's why the 418 is on the front, okay? And yeah, so anyway, I just wanted to give you a first connection of why the 418 is important, all right? So big shout out to Sean, okay? You guys know Sean. He's often on the channel. He's probably going to come on in a little bit. But he did a huge calculation, guys. He calculated the lunar months from Trump's actual birth, which was the day of this letter, okay? The day of this letter being written about a moonchild. He calculated from Trump's birth. He did it in lunar months, okay? So lunar months is just a lunar cycle. How many lunar month cycles has it been from Trump's birth? 666 lunar months after Trump's actual birth landed on exactly 4/18/2000, which in the case of numerology, the zeros don't count. So that means Trump's 666 lunar month was on exactly 4/18, guys, which is the number pasted on the front of the book of the law. And Trump is currently in trouble with the law. Do you guys understand this? Okay, Trump is in trouble with the law. On the front of the book of the law is 4/18. Trump's 666 lunar month was exactly 4/18/2000, which essentially, dropping the zeros, is 4/18. Perfect. Amazing find. Guys, go subscribe to Sean, okay? He needs way more subscribers. Let's get him to 1,000, please. All right? But thank you, Sean, for that amazing find. And that's going to lead perfectly into what I'm going to talk about, okay? Yesterday, what are the chances, guys, before I was talking about this, okay, before this interview, I even knew about it. I was talking about this book with the 418 on it. And then a couple days later, the 418th episode of Impulsive, the 418th of all other numbers, it has to be the 418, okay? The number I just showed you, Trump was 666 lunar months on 4/18. And now Trump is on the 418th episode of Impulsive yesterday, one day before his birthday. Okay? And look, the Gematria of the name of this book, the Liber al Veliges, equals 255. This is going to be a huge number to start. But look, this is what Logan Paul titled his video, the Donald Trump interview, which equals 2550. Okay? All right, do you guys understand this? Here's the name of the book. The 418's plastered on the front of it. Trump's on the 418th episode of Impulsive, and the interview, the name that he gives the title of this video, the Donald Trump interview, equals 255, like the Liber Alved Legis equals 255. Okay, but it gets even crazier. I want you guys to pay attention to the next slides. What I'm about to show you is incredibly insane. Okay. So we need to understand that this show right here is called Strange Angel, was about Jack Parsons, who was a guy who trained under Aleister Crowley. Okay. Jack Parsons trained under Aleister Crowley and became part of the Thelema magic. Okay. And there was a show released on Trump's birthday. So that means today is the anniversary of this show, guys. Okay. This show was released in 2018. That means today, okay, is the 6th anniversary of this show, Strange Angel, about Jack Parsons. Now, look, the second season was released on 6/13, one day before Trump's birthday, which was the anniversary, which is when this interview happened. Okay, so the first season, there was only 2 seasons, guys. The first season released on Trump's birthday. Okay. The first season released on Trump's birthday. The second season released on June 13th, one day before Trump's birthday. And this was when the episode happened, guys. This episode, the Trump interview, was on 6/13/2024. Okay. Do you understand what I'm showing you? And it was on the 5th anniversary of the season 2 premiere of Strange Angel, when the first season premiered on Trump's birthday. Okay. And I just showed you Trump. Joseph's in the chat. Much love, brother. I'm just showing them how Trump appeared on the 418th episode of Impulsive, which is the number written on the book of the law, and Trump's in trouble with the law. And then he titled the interview, the Donald Trump interview, which equals 255, like the name of the Latin name of the book. Okay. That's what I was showing. But anyway, back to this. This show, Strange Angel, is about Jack Parsons, who trained under Crowley. Okay. And again, it released perfectly in line with Trump and then this interview that happened yesterday. So let's look at this. This is insane. This is a mic drop moment right here, okay? So from the last episode of this series, which again aired on the second season, aired on June 13th, and it was titled The Fool, okay? June 13th was the first episode of the second season. That was the anniversary. Yesterday was the anniversary of that second episode of the first season. If you go from the last episode of the whole show, July 25th, 2019, and you go to this interview on the 418th episode of Impulsive, it's 255 weeks exactly. It's 255 days. So what does that get you, guys? That gets you to the gematria of the Donald Trump interview, which is what he titled it. The Donald Trump interview equals 2550, and it was 255 days after the last episode of this show. Do you guys understand? Thank you guys for putting the 418 stuff in here. Appreciate it. But anyway, just think about that, guys. 2550 exactly, and then the name of the interview, 2550. Okay. And again, it's even the same day that the first episode was June 13th, and yesterday was June 13th. Okay? This is not a coincidence, guys. And it's the title of the book of the law, which has the 418 on it. Again, let me go back and show you guys. The book of the law equals 255. It has the 418 on it. Trump on the 418th episode, 2550 days. 255 weeks and 0 days after the last episode of this, which is all about the religion based off of that book. Okay. I mean, this right here is enough to just be like, okay. But it gets better because remember, Trump, after he was convicted 2550 weeks after the 7/11 episode right here. So there was an episode called The Hanged Man on July 11th, 2019. Trump was convicted exactly 255 weeks after the Hanged Man episode. Okay, the Hanged Man. Do you get it? Judgment, trial, on trial. So he not only did the Logan Paul episode release 255 weeks after the last episode of the series, the Trump conviction was 255 weeks after the Hangman episode, which was on 7/11. And when did Trump on this day get sent? When's he going to get sentenced, guys? On July 11th. So this episode aired in 2019 on July 11th. 255 weeks later, he gets convicted on 5/30, and then he gets sentenced on July 11th, which will be the 5-year anniversary of this episode. Okay? Like, this is absolutely insane. Can you guys give me a thumbs up if you guys are getting this? I'm pretty sure you guys are. But it's just insane. You know, and me and Sean were just talking about this 255 number a few days ago. Okay? Before all this happened. And again, the 255, it lines up perfectly with this show. Yeah, I just... Dead cat bounce equals 418. That's funny. Anyway, this episode perfectly, and just think about it, guys. The episode on 7/11 called The Hangman is referencing the episode on July 11th, okay? Or is referencing the Hangman sentencing that's coming up on July 11th this year, okay? So what is all these other episodes going to be? So the first episode of the last season was June 13th. That was the day of the podcast that Trump was on. The next episode was on June 20th, which is called the Magus, which is a reference to MAGA. Remember, the highest degree of MAGA is Magus. So what's going to happen on June 20th in connection to the Magus? I'm just watching this, guys. Is there going to be a pattern here? Because look, there's the Fool. And I'm going to show you how the Fool tied in with the interview yesterday. Okay. So remember, Trump was found convicted on May 30th. May 30th is normally the 150th day of the year. Again, in Latin, the book of the law equals 150. Okay? Normally, it's the 150th day of the year. Jury begins their deliberation this year on the 150th day of the year, but he was actually convicted on the 151, which makes sense because that was the Jesus Christ ritual. But normally May 30th is the 150th day of the year. And again, the Latin writing for the book of the law right here equals 150. Okay. And again, it was law, guys, the court of law, right? So it makes perfect sense. Now, everything that happened around this time was connected to the 150. I told you Trump most likely seems to be the moonchild that Jack Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard were trying to create in 1946, right? Or at least he's a connection to that. We don't know for sure anything. But what I'm saying is, I showed you how the Babylon working was a magical ritual ceremony between January to March 1946 by Jack Parsons, which is what this show is all about, guys. This show is all about Jack Parsons, strange angel, okay? So Jack Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard were trying to create a moonchild. Now, moonchild equals 150, guys, just like the book of the law equals 150, okay? Now, remember, the same day that Trump was convicted, the Dallas Mavericks advanced to the NBA Finals. And what are the chances that the same day that Trump is convicted, which is normally the 150th day of the year, the Dallas Mavericks equals 150, just like moonchild, just like the book of the law. And again, I showed you back here, the book of the law equals 150, and he was convicted on normally what would be the 150th day of the year. And what are the chances that the guy who plays Jack Parsons in Strange Angel is named Jack also? So they got a guy named Jack, okay? They got a guy named Jack to play Jack Parsons, okay? And Jack equals 614 in Latin. That's Trump's birthday, just so you guys know. But anyway, Jack Rayner just happens to equal 150, like the Book of the Law, like Moonchild, okay? And again, Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard were connected to the year Trump was born, making the Moonchild, okay? Now, here's where it gets good, guys. I told you, Trump was sentenced on July 11th, or he will be sentenced on July 11th. The episode of Strange Angel, which was titled The Hanged Man, was released on July 11th, 2019. So this coming year, the sentencing of Trump will be on the anniversary of The Hangman. And if you guys know, I revealed this cipher in my last decode. This is the Aleister Crowley cipher, guys. This is the cipher discovered by James Lees, connected to the Aleister Crowley Book of the Law. And what do you get when you type in the Hanged Man, which is the name of this episode on July 11th? You get 150, which is just what I showed you was the gematria of Moonchild, Dallas Mavericks, because they advanced on the same day Trump was convicted, the Book of the Law, and the guy who plays Jack Parsons equals 150. All right, so the Hanged Man equals 150 in the Aleister Crowley ciphers, okay? In the English Kubala cipher. Again, if you guys want to pause it and read, this is a legit cipher. It makes sense to use it, especially we're talking about Aleister Crowley, right? So why not use it? 150. Now, remember, this is the Hangman. Trump had this pose. Which is like the Hangman pose, and they showed him. And look at this. Doesn't this look like a rocket, guys? Remember, Jack Parsons, was a rocket fuel scientist, okay? So look at how Trump is standing next to the phallus, right? Or the what looks like a rocket, right? And this is a connection to Jack Parsons, who's the theme of the movie Strange Angel. So this is a reference to but this is the Hanged Man, right? The Hangman pose. And again, the 15th episode of that series, and just notice how the Hangman equals 150, and it was the 15th episode of the series, which is, if you drop the 0, it's 15, right? So the Hangman, perfectly placed. And look, Trump even had a connection with this guy, David Blaine. He hung upside down while Trump was speaking, you see? So this was all about the Hanged Man, okay? Which is why the July 11th episode was the Hangman, okay? And the Hangman is about trials, you see? The Hangman is connected to trials, so perfect. And sacrifice, and Trump, they did a whole connection with Trump and Jesus Christ and a sacrifice, okay? So it's perfectly connected to all that. Now, remember, a day after Trump's sentencing, after 5:30, on 5/31, Eminem released his song called Houdini. And of course, the main subject of that album was Houdini, who also hung upside down. Okay, you see? David Blaine hangs upside down with Trump. You got this magazine, which if you flip it over, it looks like the Hangman pose. The 15th episode of the series Strange Angel was on July 11th, which is the Hanged Man. And then the next day, Eminem releases Houdini. And the main subject of this song, of course, is Harry Houdini, which equals 150. And what do you say, guys? What do you say? The full name of the album that Eminem released Houdini on is The Death of Slim Shady, Coup de Grace, which equals 150. Oh my goodness. What a coincidence. The whole album equals 150. Harry Houdini, 150. He hung upside down. Trump was convicted on what is normally the 150th day of the year. Man, I wish more people were watching this. I don't know why people don't understand how big this is, man. Like this, I was already talking about Aleister Crowley in this book just days before we got this interview. And then it all led, Anyways, talking about Crowley, right, and his religion, okay? His religion is based off of Hiro Raha, okay, which is also known as Horpocrates, I think, which means Horus the child. Okay. And when I think of a child, I think of like a naive person, the naivety of a child, right? Which is kind of foolishness, right? And this represents the fool, guys. And I'm going to talk about how this connects to the fool in a little bit. But Prokrat, if you do the, I don't know if I'm saying that right, equals 150. If you do the capital cipher, exactly how they spell it here, equals 150. And the meaning of it is Horus the child, which equals 150. And again, it equals 150 in this, just like all this other stuff. Okay. So this is a huge number right now. That's why the Dallas Mavericks are in the finals right now, because they equal 150. And they're about ready to lose today, probably. They might lose and be swept out of the finals on Trump's birthday. But again, this goes back to the religion of Thelema, which connects to the names, both equaling 150. Okay. And so let's talk more about the interview, because what are the chances that I was connecting this interview to the series called Strange Angel, which is about Jack Parsons. And Jack Parsons equals the name of the show, Impulsive. Jack Parsons, 127, Impulsive, 127. And the full name of the interview, the Donald Trump interview, equals 127. Okay? How perfect. If the other connections I showed you weren't enough, this should be just more proof. Okay? Jack Parsons equals Impulsive. And think about it, guys. Think about this. Jack Parsons was a rocket scientist. He liked to shoot rockets. The word impulsive means you act on a whim. You can't wait. You have no patience. You're impulsive, which kind of connects to the whole, like, I'm not going to get into it here, but you guys understand what I mean? Like the phallus, you get too impulsive. You're too impulsive. Does it make sense to you guys? I hope you guys get what I'm saying. And that's also why if you look at the symbol for the impulsive, it has the as above, so below, but it has the below. You see this? Like the eye here is facing upwards. The eye here is facing down. As above, so below. And again, in the show Strange Angel, Jack Parsons practices shooting the rocket to the sky and to the ground. Okay? And again, this all goes back to Trump and how he was kind of standing next to this, you know what I mean, guys? The rocket looking thing, right? And why do you think we've been having so many rocket launches lately around this time? Because it's all connected to this, okay? And I told you that the interview was on 6/13/2024. The episode of Strange Angel that was also on 6/13, just 5 years earlier, was called The Fool. So what a coincidence that 5 years after the Fool episode releases, Donald Trump is talking to a guy in an interview who was born on April Fool's Day. Do you guys understand? I mean, the same day, 5 years later, Donald Trump is on a show talking to Logan Paul, who's born on April Fool's Day. And the name of the episode on 5 years earlier was The Fool. Okay? And to top it all off, Logan Paul equals The Fool. 36 in the same cipher. So he's born April Fool's Day. He equals The Fool. And so Logan Paul equals The Fool, right? Well, 36, right, is the 151 is the 36 prime. 151 is the 36 prime number. Trump was found guilty on the 151st day of the year. Remember, 666 is the 36 triangular number. When Trump was convicted, Luka Doncic scored 36 points. Again, he scored 36 points on the 151st day of the year because 151 is the 36 prime number. But on the day that Logan Paul did the interview, okay, on the day that Logan Paul did the interview with Donald Trump, Logan Paul was exactly 10,666 days old. You see this? Just split it up, guys. 10,666. Okay? So 10 is also Satan, right? in Gematria, 10 equals Satan, right? So this is a perfect number for Logan Paul to be, right? 10 equals Satan, and then he has the 666. This is how old he was on the interview. You guys understand this? He was this old on the interview, which is Satan and then the 666. Perfect. And again, Logan Paul equals 36, and 666 is the 36 triangular number. And in case you guys don't understand the Book of the Law and how these numbers on here add up, well, the technical title of the Book of the Law is the Liber Alvel Legis sub figura CXX as delivered by XC 1 to the third equals 418 to DCLXVI, which is 666, guys. So you could say that the book refers to itself as the Book of the Law, the threefold Book of the Law, okay, with the CXX being 220, right? That's the Roman numeral for 220. Guess what Donald John Trump equals in Gematria, guys? Oh, Donald John Trump equals 220. The CXX equals 220. Brotherhood of Death equals 220. It also references the Tree of Life, which is 10 numbers and 22 paths, okay? So the XCII represents the 93, which I already talked about, okay? And the last number, the last Roman numeral is the 666. So you literally have the 418, the 93, and the 666 right on the front, okay? And look at this. This is a way of saying that the book was delivered by Iwas, whose number is 93 and 418, to Crowley, who is the beast, 666. Okay, so you got the 666 on there. Crowley is the beast. It was delivered to the beast. The beast is 666, the number of the beast. 666 equals 120, like Edward Alexander Crowley, that's his full name, equals 120. Illuminati also equals 120. I'm going to talk more about the 120 here in a second. But what are the chances that Aleister Crowley's name equals 120, like 666? Okay. And so Aleister Crowley was born, or he died on December 1st, guys. 121. Okay? Antichrist equals 121. Aleister Crowley died on 121 and was born on 1210. Again, you drop the 0. So Aleister Crowley essentially died on 121 and was born on 121. Okay? And Antichrist equals 121. Now, Jack Parsons, one of his disciples, was also declared himself the Antichrist. He said, unable to work in rocketry field, Parsons turned to his magic and declared himself the Antichrist. Okay? And look what it says here. Jack Parsons, jet-propelled Antichrist. But then his mentor, Aleister Crowley, died on 121 like Antichrist and was born on 121 like Antichrist. Okay? Now, how about this, guys? From the Trump interview yesterday with the 418, which is Aleister Crowley's numbers, the 418, right on the front of his book, from the 418 episode yesterday with Donald Trump to Aleister Crowley's next birthday is 121 days, guys. And again, he was born on 121, 1210, you drop the 0, 121. And Logan Paul, the guy who did the interview yesterday, the day that Logan Paul was born, it was exactly 47 years, 121 days after Crowley died. Crowley died on 12147, and Logan Paul was born 47121 days later. Like that's the date. That's the date of Aleister Crowley's death encoded in the span between his death and Logan Paul's birth. Do you guys believe that? Like that's the day he died right there. He died on 12/1/47. And think about this, guys. Trump is trying to become the 47th president. 121 days after the Trump interview with Logan Paul is Crowley's birthday. Okay? And Logan Paul was born 47, like the 47th president, 121 days after Crowley died, which is the day he died. Okay? So just so much showing here that this was all connected, man. And again, I was already on this, guys. I was on this before that I even knew about this podcast, man. That's what's just so mind-blowing. I literally started watching this show called Strange Angel 2 days before this interview, and I had no idea it was going to connect. I had no idea. But let's talk about how this connects to the eclipse, guys, because it does. It connects very much to the eclipse that just happened. During the interview, Trump said he gave Logan Paul his shirt with his mugshot on it. And he said, well, Elvis had one. He was talking about Elvis had a mugshot. And then Trump said, but we've eclipsed them. He meant we've eclipsed Elvis and Frank Sinatra, because Trump said both Elvis and Frank Sinatra had a mugshot, but he's saying that Trump's mugshot has eclipsed Elvis and Frank Sinatra. So this was a reference to the eclipse that happened on 4/8. Remember? So here we go. So the name of the show that I was just connecting with Jack Parsons right here, Strange Angel, okay? It equals 66. And this episode of Impulsive, where Trump talks about the eclipse, was 66 days after the 4/8 eclipse. And notice that Strange Angel equals eclipse code. And just see the 201, guys. I told you I was going to talk a little bit about the 201. All right. So eclipse code equals 201. The Jesuit order 201. Just you guys know about the 201. I'm not going to talk about it here. So anyway, Strange Angel equals eclipse code. The eclipse was 66 days, or the Impulsive was 66 days after the eclipse. Strange Angel equals 66. Okay. Now, this is where it gets crazy, guys. This year, the 4/8 eclipse, remember, I told you Donald Trump equals 48. Moonchild equals 48. Witchcraft 48. Okay? The eclipse was on 4/8. Well, wouldn't you guys believe it that Aleister Crowley channeled his demon, essentially, that gave him the Book of the Law on 4/8, 1904, guys. That means that the eclipse this year on April 8th, 2024 was exactly 120 years after the day that Aleister Crowley channeled Aiwass. And what do you know, guys? 120 years to the day, and Edward Alexander Crowley equals 120. Not to mention, it was an eclipse on that day, and eclipse equals 120. And I showed you before that 666, which is an eclipse number, if you type it out, equals 120. Okay? So this whole thing, Aleister Crowley, he channels Aiwass on April 8th, 1904. 120 years later, the Great American Eclipse. And again, Trump, the moon child. You get it? The moon moves in front of the sun during an eclipse. The moon child. Okay? But exactly 120 years, eclipse 120, Edward Alexander Crowley 120, 666 120. Illuminati 120. Okay? So just insane, really. But that's not it, guys, because the whole religion of Kalima or Thelema is based around Ra-Horkut. Okay? And Ra-Horkut in the Aleister Crowley cipher equals 120, like his full name, Edward Alexander Crowley, 120. So again, if you use the Crowley cipher, the name of his deity, Ra-Horkut, equals 120, like his full name equals 120. And again, the eclipse was exactly 120 years after he channeled Aiwass. And just read here, guys. Within the Thelema religion, Ra-Horkut is called the Lord of the Aeon, the crowned and conquering child. Okay? So this guy is the Lord of this Aeon, according to Crowley. And he equals 120 in the Crowley cipher. Okay? Oh, yeah. Thank you, Joseph. Vice President Salos Shalima equals 120. That just happened. That just happened. Yeah, that connects to this. I mean, come on, guys. The Vice President Salos Shalima equals 120. Vice President Shalima, 120. He died in a plane crash 120 days from his birthday. There it is, guys. That just happened like a few days ago, right before this interview. And yeah, that's my last slide, actually. But let's go back to the big one last time. Just so you guys, anyone who's getting in late, they can see exactly what I'm showing them. There's way more to this, guys. I shortened this decode a lot. I could have added way more, but I think the basis information has been hit. So again, guys, watch out for these dates. June 20th was the second episode of the series called The Maggots. Remember, the Fool, we already had the Trump interview on June 13th, yesterday, where Trump was interviewed by him, who was born on April Fool's Day. But again, guys, from the last episode of Strange Angel to the interview, the Donald Trump interview, it is 255 weeks, 0 days, 2550. The title of it is the Donald Trump interview, which equals 2550. That's the book of the law. Trump was on this interview talking about how he was in trouble with the law. Okay. So perfectly timed. And again, just to go with the 255 here, from the episode of The Hanged Man on July 11th, 2019 to the Trump conviction was 2550. So the same amount of days as from the last episode to the interview. From the 7/11 episode. Remember, guys, Trump is going to be sentenced on 7/11. That's why this episode is important. From the 7/11 episode to the conviction was, so this, if you would have looked at this before, if you would have made this connection before the conviction, you would have been able to almost predict that they would make July 11th the day for the Hanged Man. Remember, this was the title of this show, titled this episode on 7/11, The Hanged Man. And if you would have known to measure this and figure this out, you could have said, oh, wow, I wonder if they'll make the sentencing on 7/11. Okay. So again, it's perfectly scripted with the 255 here. And I don't know if you guys have been watching my videos and if you guys remember, but we talked a lot about the 255 with the connection between the woman. And remember, this whole religion, Thelema, is about Babylon, the woman, okay? Remember how the Mexican president was elected 255 years after the Revelation 12 sign? This is all connected to that, guys. It's all connected, man. And it's just a crazy, like, puzzle piece story that we put together, okay? So let me go into the chat and let me hang out with you guys. Also, I'm going to bring on Sean, I think, if he's ready. Sean, let me know in the chat if you are ready. But in the meantime, we're going to talk about some things in the chat. Joseph Agoviva 2222 says July 11th, 159, Donald Trump 159, guilty 159 days before election sentencing, 159 days before Pope's birthday. Yep, and there was a huge connection with the 159 and the Taylor Swift quakes that just happened. I might get into that. I haven't talked about the Taylor Swift quakes, but guess what, guys? There was Taylor Swift quakes in Scotland. Okay, I've been talking about Scotland for 2 weeks, and now Taylor Swift is back at it again, and there's Swift quakes in Scotland. You guys understand? We've been following this stuff like a book, man. We've been reading this stuff like a book. Yeah, so it's just insane. And make sure you guys go watch Joseph's video about how I said yesterday there was going to be a connection, or 2 days ago on June 12th, there was going to be a connection between George W. Bush being 2022 days after his death. And then Joseph found out yesterday. Joseph, you want to write that in the chat so I can share it so people can read it. But again, I've been all over this stuff, guys. I've been all over the George Bush thing yesterday. I was all over the I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I'm just saying that when we learn to look at these clues, we can kind of see what's coming. And again, I was talking about Crowley, and then we got Donald Trump on the 418th episode. Okay. Let's see. How can we become as good as you? Like, what's your thought process? I mean, I don't know. I just follow like where God leads me, really. Like, I don't have a process. It's more like being open to like being just led to these connections, and just also using everyone else here is we all work together, you know, and I wouldn't be able to do any of this. I wouldn't be able to do any of this without you guys, because half of what I find comes from inspiration from you guys. And again, Joseph put the puzzle piece together yesterday. He's the one that made me see, as I'm going to put this comment on the thing, but Russian warships arrive in Cuba 2022 equals 2022. It was 2022 days after George H.W. Bush died on his birthday. And again, guys, I was pointing you to June 12th, and I was connecting it to that being 2022 days after his death. And then the headline, Russian warships arrive in Cuba equals 2022. Also, this incident was talked about yesterday on the podcast by Trump. Trump talked about this Cuban thing. So it's all connected, guys. Now, the ships that arrived in Cuba had the number 454 on them on George Bush's birthday, which equals 454. So again, great job, Joseph. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to know this without Joseph, because I was never looking into this. So Joseph finding this just helped me understand how I was talking about that, you know. It was 172 days before George Bush's death anniversary. Russian ships equals 172. Coffee Girl says, you have a great team here. Yeah, in the chat, there's many amazing people here, man. I feel so blessed because I feel like people come to my channel, they share amazing things. There's no drama, and I appreciate that a lot. I really do, because I'm not a drama person. I just like to find connections, right? Yeah, Betty R. Yep, today is Trump's birthday. Yep, that's perfect day for me to be doing this, I guess. So much love to you, Betty. Thank you for watching. Yeah, so thank you guys so much. If you guys got any other things to add in the chat, I know Zenith of the Alpha was in the chat. I saw Lambda in the chat earlier, which is amazing. So if you guys didn't go subscribe to Lambda and Zenith of the Alpha, please go check out their channel. And please go check out this man who's looking suave.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So Lambda's still in the chat. Thanks, Lambda. I hope you're doing well. I miss your videos, bro. Hope you're going to do a video soon. But he says, don't forget Pluto. Yeah, I mean, there's a whole connection here to Pluto, which makes sense, really, because let's think about it, guys. Pluto is the little planet, which in my mind represents the child, the little child, which is what Horus, that's what this Thelema is really about. It's about the child, the conquering child. And this, like I mentioned here, it's basically connected to the fool, because I think of a child as a naive thing, you know. So, you know, WWE is really hitting big on the Pluto return right now. But anyway, Sean, what's up, man? How much time do you have?
Oh, I got a decent amount, probably like 40, 30, 40.
Oh, that's good, man. Okay,
So,
cool.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know how long you were gonna be on for, or how long you were trying to.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'll just see how it plays. I mean, I'll probably try to stay on for as long as you can be on, at least. But just one last thing, because Lambda's hitting on something in the chat. So this 6/14, right? So this is the day Trump's birth, and that's the date today. Notice that the word Jack equals 6/14. And of course, Lambda said in the chat, he said plutocrat equals 6/14, right? So isn't it interesting that Jack Parsons was the rocket guy, and he was connected to this, as I showed. And another thing I thought was interesting, which I could connect to Houdini. Houdini, when he hung upside down, he called it the USD, which connects to the US dollar. And Houdini USD equals 6/14 in the same cipher. So, and don't forget, Pluto is connected to money. So, yeah, go ahead, Sean. You got anything to share?
Or I guess connecting the thing with Pluto and the whole thing with the hanging man and hanging upside down, that could be like you know how Pluto is the god of the underworld.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I was kind of thinking about that.
Yeah, actually, that's a good thought, because like hanging upside down and you know, kind of in the ground underworld, which also just kind of connects with the whole blooming thing, because this is all again connected to the rose. It's just so crazy how everything that we've talked about over the last month is connected. The Rosicrucian stuff, the Aleister Crowley stuff, the King James stuff, the secret stuff. Because what's crazy too, Sean, is this is all connected to the secret. This whole religion. On the thumbnail for my thing, I put the statue of the child of Horus, and one of its features is that it's holding its finger up to its mouth and sucking on its finger, which looks like shushing secrets. And I was just talking about how all these dates right around here connected to the revealing of secrets, which is what Pluto does. And this child, the child Horus, is connected to that because he's the god of secrets. So
yeah, I've kind of thought about a connection with like the secret thing and like the golden ratio, because can you pull up just like a picture of the phi symbol, like the Greek letter?
Oh, I think I know where you're going with this, actually.
Yeah, because I feel like it could be like they go hand in hand, or it's like a secret uh, way of them showing the golden ratio. But I feel like the shushing, like that finger over the, when they put their finger over their lips, it looks like the phi symbol.
Uh-huh.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I
It
think there could be
does.
like, yeah.
It's that
And
circle with the line through it, you know, like that's exactly what you do when you shush, you know.
yeah, and it's interesting also when you bring in the 418 into that whole thing, because 4:18 p.m. that's 16 hours 18 minutes into the day, like the golden ratio 1618.
Yeah.
And did you know that? Well, have you heard in terms of the Rosicrucians? Have you heard of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn? Did you talk
Yeah.
about that already? You talked, yeah.
Yeah,
Did you know that?
that's where
Yeah, exactly.
Crowley
Yeah,
started, yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So there's that whole thing with the whole golden thing, and I'm essentially like it's all about the golden age that they've been, you know, preparing everything for.
Right. Yeah, and it's just, you know, like I don't know, I'm just still mind blown that this is the 418th episode, man. And how it just perfectly connected to the show I was watching, you know, trying to figure out at the very time.
Yeah, because like you caught on to the Crowley stuff really early on, like when the trial happened, and I remember when you first talked about it, you're like, it was one of my live streams when we just would do the freestyle kind of things, and you're like, yeah, I'm kind of seeing this like connection with like Doncic and Crowley, and it wasn't fully fleshed out yet, but you were starting to like set it up, and I was like, and now it's just like fully manifested, like ridiculously.
Yeah, that's what I mean is like it's not even me doing it, man. Like I feel like I'm not even really in control of it. I feel like I'm just like following where I'm supposed to be going, and it's just like leading me down a story. It's like I'm telling a story with my decodes. I feel like I'm telling a huge story every day with a decode, and it's not like I'm even trying to do it. It's just like somehow it's happening, and like just how they've been weaving it together is just, you know, insane. And you're right. It started all with me thinking about Doncic, man. Like the only thing I kept thinking for like that day was like Doncic, and he was called Luka Magic. And then that just led to all this. Like just that one thought led to all this, right?
Yeah,
So um
yeah,
but
because then
yeah, I
it's like
mean,
because that really was like I guess the catalyst, because then once you hear that and then you're like, oh, that's interesting, Dawn, and then all that stuff with Eminem releasing Houdini right after like Eminem, or after Trump is announced guilty, and then it's just like all these things start piling onto each other, and you're like, wait a minute, what the heck, like there's something here. And did you also think, one thing I was kind of thinking about in terms of like the connection with Trump and like Houdini. Again, sorry if you've mentioned it before, but like you know how Houdini has that he did that whole thing with the like being in chains and in a straitjacket and whatever.
Yeah.
It's like almost making me think about like this whole thing happening to Trump is like one big like Houdini trick where it's like they're gonna put him in chains like or handcuffs whatever, and then he's gonna like escape out of it somehow.
I
You know
mean,
what I mean?
I think that's exactly what they're telling us, Like I think that's because that's exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking, okay, well, you have Trump. He's he's probably going to find a way to get out of all these legal troubles, like Houdini, right? So, like, it's looking grim for him right now. He might get sentenced or something, but like, at least it looks like he might like somehow get out of it. So, yeah, I mean, I did mention this, but I didn't mention a whole lot about this upside down thing. I just showed that he hung upside down, just like David Blaine, and that Houdini equals 150, and um, the whole album for Eminem equals 150. So it was all connected. This number was actually really being woven throughout all this events right now. There's actually stuff I left out, but um, that equaled 150 that could also be connected to everything else that was going on. But yeah, the Dallas Mavericks 150, Moonchild, all that stuff. So
Yeah, and I think it's oh, and I know I told you right before, but I guess just for everybody else, like an interesting fact about David Blaine, he was born. I'm not exactly sure how to tie it into the theme of all this, but David Blaine, he was born the day that the Twin Towers opened,
mm-hmm.
which was April 4th, 1973. That's just really, I mean, that just sounds really interesting to me. How like the only thing I could think of so far, like yeah, there's the connection with him and Trump and like what you showed, and all the stuff right now is happening in Gemini, obviously because it's Trump's birthday, and Gemini twins, and there probably could be more to that, but I gotta look more into it.
Yeah, I mean, there definitely is. I mean, that was a good. You just told me that like a bit. That was also a Wednesday too, the day of Mercury.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, David Blaine born the same day they opened, and yeah, so and I think of the 44 also. I mean, of course, we know Trump is very connected to the Twin Towers and 9/11, anyways. So the fact that he was born the same day, and he was born in Brooklyn, New York. I mean, so uh, he was born in the same city, man, on the same
Yeah,
day.
yeah,
Yeah, there's probably a whole decode. There's probably a whole decode on David Blaine that's connected to this.
yeah. Because there was it's funny because in one of Angel White's compilations, he showed like, well, he brought up the verse in Revelation about the frogs. I forgot what the verse was and exactly what the verse was, but it was about like I guess part of the seals opening up and like God pouring out His wrath, and like something about the frogs. And then there was an episode on Joe when David Blaine was on the Joe Rogan show, and he made a frog come out of his mouth.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, but that's interesting too because Trump has also been compared to the frog, and right now, that cryptocurrency called Pepe, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's all connected to Trump too, and it's been mooning all year too, man. I can't believe, man. It's like I almost bought like just $200 of that. I would be like, ugh. Anyways,
Dang.
because me and my girlfriend, the day before that coin really started to go up, we knew it was like National Frog Day or something like that, or Leap Day. Oh no, it was on Leap Day. It was on Leap Day 229. Me and my girlfriend, we were decoding it, and we said, Pepe's probably going to start to go up because it's a frog and a frog leaps. And guess what happened? Like literally on that day, man. And ever since that day, it hasn't stopped.
Wow.
Like, we were on it, but we just didn't do anything. I just can't believe we missed it. Like, we were talking about the literal thing and you know what that day was? It was the birthday of the soccer player Pepe.
Oh shoot.
So it was like perfect, man.
Wow. That could maybe tie into the whole moon thing, you know, with the I think you might have made a video about that. You did, right? Like about the small step for man, one giant leap for mankind, and how
Oh
that has
yeah,
to do
that
with the
was
moon.
that was when I was all over. That was during that leap day. I was really decoding that day, and what eventually happened on that day is Biden and Trump. They were both at the border. You know.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh yeah. Um,
Yeah. So they were both at the border on that day, and I was talking about how that day was hugely connected with XRP and how it was connected with cryptocurrency and Donald Trump and all that stuff. So
yeah. Yeah, I could definitely see something there with the moonchild, the moon, the leap, the frogs, the leaping, all that. Um, and then like going back to the whole thing with Pluto, like Lambda said, don't forget about Pluto. And there's uh, Seven made a video about like the the old folk tale with like the moon being made of cheese. Um,
uh-huh.
remember that? And cheese being money, like cheese is the phrase for money.
Right. Yeah.
So that could all be like just tying into each other.
Well, look at this picture. I know this is tied to this, and I don't always talk about all this money connections, but they're always in my mind. Like I could do all kinds of decodes about money and crypto and probably make a whole nother channel just based on decodes around money and crypto. But I just never share it because sometimes it just doesn't I don't fit it in there. But look at the picture of this I'll make it bigger for you guys to see. But look at so this is like totally like market related. This is totally about money right here because a very famous thing in the crypto and markets is rocket ships and going to the moon, right?
Hmm.
That's what they call it when a currency goes up. It goes to the moon, right? So this show literally is talking about something going up, like watching something skyrocket. And and the fact that this happened, I mean, today is essentially the day's return in Pluto. I mean, I forgot to even mention that, but today is essentially the day, 90,056 days, right? Or 90,056 days, something like that.
90, 90,560 days.
Yeah, I think that might be it. I'll just show it for people. 1776. So on July 4th, 1776 to today, yeah, this is the exact amount of days that they say it takes Pluto to orbit to make its rotation. So today is exactly 90,560 days, and that's the days they give. And if you look it up, I don't know if I'm going to do it here because my computer's slow. Hold on, I'll try to look it up. How many days does it take Pluto to orbit the sun? See if it comes up. Yeah, right here, 90,560 days it takes Pluto and Earth days. So that's today is from the founding date of the United States to today. It's exactly that. And I forgot to mention this, but in one of the ciphers, I think it's Sumerian. Hold on a second. I thought this was interesting too. If you type in the Donald Trump interview, which was the title of the podcast, it equals 1776.
Wow. Wow, that's crazy.
So
That's
the Donald
crazy.
Trump, this is what Logan Paul, and don't forget, Logan Paul is currently the United States champion in wrestling. So think about that. The United States champion. The current United States champion is Logan Paul. So the guy who does the interview one day before Pluto's return is Logan Paul. And he's the United States champion. And the title that he gave his podcast one day before equals 1776, man. So it lined up perfectly with this, you know. And if you added the day, you could have said yesterday would have been the day, you know.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's funny how they didn't. Did they even mention on the podcast that it's like, oh, that it was like close to his birthday, or were they just trying to like not make it so obvious? Because I would have thought they would have been like, oh yeah, tomorrow's your birthday.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't actually listen to the whole interview, but like I need to go back and watch the whole thing. But I do know that they didn't. I think they weren't trying to make it too obvious, you know. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, but at the same time, just the fact that they aired this show on the guy born on April Fools, and they aired this show exactly 5 years after the episode called The Fool, and it's just like, yeah. So
yeah. I also wonder. I wonder like, if the stuff with the magic, like, you know, a magician, they do one of their most famous tricks stereotypically is like pulling a rabbit out of their hat, and then you got Trump
right.
with like his symbolism with Donnie Darko, the rabbit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and okay, so that makes sense too. You know who the two people he mentioned yesterday that he eclipsed?
Elvis and who was the other one?
Frank. Frank,
Oh.
you're always going to see a connection between Frank and Donald. You're always going to see Frank come up with Donald because I'll show you. It's in the Gematria. Frank equals Donald.
Wow.
And in basically all in 3 out of the 4 ciphers. So that's why the rabbit in Donnie Darko was named Frank. And remember when I did that tornado video a few months back, the guy's name was Frank, you know, and it was connected to Donald Trump. So it's always Frank every time, which connects to France. Frank is a France, you know. It all connects back to this France stuff going on, you know.
Yeah, and I think Dr. Savage pointed out in his community that the Houdini music video, that's like 4 minutes 57 seconds, and that's the 88th prime, and that goes back to the, you know, the 88 symbolism with Donnie Darko, how when he says like you have, well, first of all, the whole movie takes place in 1988, and then Frank the Rabbit, he tells him you have, or 28 days, 6 hours, 42 minutes, 12 seconds until the world ends, and when you add 28, all those numbers, they add up to 88.
Yeah. Yep. And isn't 888 plus 888 1776, right? So
Yeah.
and look at this, man. If you go 1776 days back from today or from yesterday, it lands on August 4th.
Oh, wow.
So that means Trump and Obama's birthdays are 1776 days apart. I don't know if anyone's ever shown that, but I'm sure someone has.
Wow.
But it's just interesting because later on this year, Logan Paul will be in Cleveland, Ohio on one day before Obama's birthday, which is 50 days after Trump's birthday. Woo, that goes back to Trump and Donald, or Frank and Donald equal 50. And this is a show in Cleveland called SummerSlam. And you know Jurassic, I mean, shout out to him, even though his prediction didn't come to fruition yet. I mean, he's been talking about how August 4th is like a possible head wound date. So it's interesting that SummerSlam this year is in Ohio in the 216 area code on the 216 day of the year. So August 3rd is the 216 day of the year. Oh, this thing started in 1988 too.
Oh wow.
Wow. So you
And
guys can see. Yeah, go ahead, Sean.
I was gonna say, there's like an interesting fact about either that day or the next day, which is the fourth, which is I mentioned it a few times, but it's just like um, can you go from the founding of the United States to that day?
Which
Just
day
make
again? Sorry.
the one you're already on, the SummerSlam, or you can do the next day, August 4th. But can you go the starting date, the founding of the United States, and add the date, the end date, and then just go to
Uh-huh.
the months.
Oh yeah, I see the months. Yeah, is that a prime? Right.
Well, that's the total amount of victims on 9/11,
Oh
2,977.
yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So I just think that's
Interesting.
really interesting. Yeah.
I mean, again. Oh, and look at that. The 2977 is 13 times 229. The
Mm.
229 is huge. In it's the 50th prime, but it's 13. Yeah, that's interesting. Um,
Oh,
but yeah,
that's interesting because it's like the 13 colonies, and then the 50th, like 50 states after.
yeah, right. 13 and then 50. Yeah,
But yeah,
interesting.
and then I guess that's interesting too. That it's August 3rd. Well, that's August 3rd, 8/3, like the death number.
Well, there's no doubt that this is connected to what I just showed because, again, like Logan Paul is going to be a centerpiece there. You can see him on the poster, and because he's from Ohio, so and again the 216 area code, Cleveland on the 216 day of the year. Oh, it's the 150 days left. That makes all the sense.
Oh,
That's it right there. That's why, man. There's the 150. It's the opposite day on the calendar of Trump. Or kind of. It's kind of the opposite day. It'd be August 2nd or August 3rd. But yeah, so 150 days left in the year. And that's the big number I talked about in this decode if you guys missed it. Um, so yeah, that makes it even bigger. I missed that.
dang. There's something also interesting too with Logan Paul, which I'm kind of seeing a trend with it. Like you know how Paul in the Bible, how first he was like he had a huge change because he used to um he killed Christians, right?
Right, yeah.
And there's a weird religious thing going on with Logan Paul right now because his co-host, I don't know, did you ever hear about what happened with there was three co-hosts on the show, and one of them his name was George Janko. And he there's a lot of controversy because George Janko is really like he was like open Christian, and he would like talk about it on the podcast, and then Logan Paul would like make fun of him, and
Oh,
um,
really?
yeah, and that guy even left the show. Like a bunch of things piled up, and like that guy left he left the show like in the middle of one of the podcasts. He like left and never came back, and he made his own podcast. Um, and then really recently, Logan Paul, like he had some other pretty religious or Christians. I don't know about religious, but they were Christians, and and he was like asking them a bunch of questions, not like in a mean way, but it's like I don't know if there might be some type of thing with like how Paul in the Bible had this like huge conversion, and now like Trump is always like compared to Christ, and then he just had this collaboration with Trump out of nowhere.
Yeah, I already actually I thought of that a bit. about Paul, because every time I hear his name, I think of Paul in the Bible. That's like the first thing I always think, and I just never really looked into that connection. But I know there's got to be something there. I didn't know about this other guy on the podcast being kicked off because of that, but that makes sense. And Logan Paul is like not in the WWE. He's a heel, which means people don't like him. He's the bad guy, because he's cocky and he he does cheats to win, that kind of stuff. So I mean, he's kind of like in WWE. He's kind of like the Trump character. People like that's how they're trying to portray Trump. Like cocky, cheats, all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of the character that he plays. I totally missed. Did I even talk about how his name was the Maverick? I totally missed that, guys. Logan Paul's nickname is the Maverick, and of course, Trump was he was convicted on the same day the Mavericks made it to the finals, and yeah, so I forgot to even mention that. I think, but I was going to actually say something else too. I don't know if you ever added up all the numbers, the 93 plus the 418 and the 666, but it equals 1177, which I thought was interesting.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
so I don't think I did. There's actually another number on there though. There's a 220 on there also.
But, that's crazy. I mean, because you're making the connection with Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic, right? Because they're 11 and 77.
Right.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's what I was thinking, because when I saw the 1177, I thought of Kyrie Irving and Doncic, and then of course too. Look at what Kyrie Irving equals. 150.
Yeah, wow.
In the same cipher as the Latin word for Book of the Law. So
wow. I feel like for the finals, there's like there's two things that it could I feel like there could only be two possibilities. Like, it's either the sweep, or because I know that no team has ever came back from 3-0. So I feel like that could be the other huge, like it's almost like a huge magic trick or something. Like if the Mavericks come back from 3-0 and they're the first team to do it, like that would be a crazy.
I mean, it would be. Too. It would be a crazy narrative, and Lambda's saying 248 plus 418 equals 666. Interesting.
What was it?
248 plus 418 equals 666.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, that would be interesting if they came back. But because also right now in the NHL, the Panthers are up 3-0.
Yeah.
So you have right now, you kind of already have the 33. Like, I have a whole decode about the 33 coming, like how it's connected to Hocus Pocus. Because actually, I got to give a big shout out to Casey, because Casey actually was the one yesterday that told me that there was an interview. Otherwise, I wouldn't even known about the interview. And then Casey also pointed out the connection between the movie Hocus Pocus and Donald Trump and witches and stuff, and it actually really connects. It connects in so many ways. That there's a reason why they released the Hocus Pocus movie on the Trinity Test Day. So it's actually kind of insane. And I don't know. I have this other decode do you want to see this other decode I told you about this prank video that I decoded?
Oh, yeah.
Because this is also insane. I guess I'm not going to be able to make an extra video about it, so I might as well show it on here now. But yeah, so remember how I've been talking about magic, and I even talked about vampires recently because of King Charles connection.
Yeah.
So I was watching this prank video that I often see come up on my feed sometimes. And it's by this channel called Cassidy Campbell, which is the CC. So you got the CC, and let me actually close out this other one. I mean, this kind of stuff just blows my mind because this is not like a big thing, but it's like, wow. We'll wait for it to load. You got anything else to say while we wait for it, Sean?
Something I might bring up after. Another thing I kind of been thinking about is like McDonald's. AJ kind of, AJ kind of brought up some McDonald's symbolism to me before, but I don't know if he's tied it into like how I'm about to. But like I thought about how they portray Trump as a clown, and all that, and like McDonald's MC. It's like almost like Moonchild Donald McDonald,
Oh, wow. Yeah, man. Wow, that's insane actually. That's not just a little fine, man. That's a crazy thing. That might be it, man. I think you're dead on. I don't think there could be any other. I don't know. Give me a thumbs up to the chat if you think that the MC stands for Moonchild Donald. I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, and then it's also interesting because I thought about Disneyland too, because when I was at Disneyland, I noticed like I was I was just thinking about it because I saw like Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck, and I was like, oh shoot, like McDonald's again,
yeah.
and
And there's
that's like all about magic, like the Magic Kingdom and all that. And I found out that Disneyland actually it opened the same year that McDonald's opened in 1955.
yeah. Same year
So
Bill Gates was born, huh?
yeah.
Crazy, man. That's amazing. That's something to like really think about, like for sure. I'm definitely down with that one.
Yeah, and then like the whole thing with like Ron DeSantis, like you get the Ronald McDonald, and then Ron DeSantis, he also has had this huge like controversy against Disneyland, which is interesting too.
Mm-hmm.
So just interesting connections I've been seeing, but I'm still trying to like, I guess, solidify it.
Yeah, we'll have to look more into that. Something to look into for our next stream.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll just do this real fast. It's not gonna take long, I don't think. But I was watching this, I saw this prank come up, right? And I was like, okay, let me see what's because I saw he was pranking celebrities this time. He wasn't just pranking regular people, he was pranking celebrities. So I was like, I wonder if there's something here. So the first person he pranks three celebrities in this prank, right? The first one is William Shatner, who's 93 years old, by the way. This connects to my Thelema thing I've been talking about. And the first thing he says is, hey, I was on the set with you on Boston Legal. And I was like, are you kidding me? This is in Dallas. And he's talking about Boston. So Boston, Dallas, there's your finals. So immediately I was like, this has to be coded, man. So then I was like, then the craziest thing happens. He actually asked William Shatner about drinking, you know what? I don't want to get graphic because I don't want to get my chance. But he asked about like child drinking, like that. And then William Shatner even plays into it and he says, oh yeah, you just gotta bite them in the neck while they're still alive. And I was like, oh my gosh. So what kind of joke is that, man? Like, and so first of all, he's born on 322, William Shatner. So what a perfect person to be talking about this subject. And William Shatner equals 65, okay? So immediately I made the 65 connection with Vlad the Impaler, who's the real Dracula, which equals 65 in the same cipher as William Shatner. And then I was thinking, oh, William, like Prince William, the son of, who is a descendant of Vlad the Impaler. And oh, wait, his title is Prince of Wales, which also equals 65 in the same cipher. And the Prince of Wales becomes the King of England, right? So King of England equals 65 in the same cipher. And he becomes the King of the United Kingdom also, which equals 65. So this all connected to something that I think might be coming up soon. with Prince William maybe taking over soon. And so that was the first guy he pranked, right? All connected to drinking, you know what, and then having the 65 connection to Dracula and to Prince William. But here's where it gets crazy. William Shatner is born on 322.
Oh shit.
Exactly 18719 days before William.
Oh wow.
Which breaks down to the 322 prime. See, 187 days breaks down to this number, 2137, which breaks down to 322. And freaking William is born on 322. William Shatner. And remember, his wife this year announced her cancer on 322.
Wow. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Wow.
And then just watch how it gets even crazier, man. Prince William jokes about a Harry Potter scar just around the same day or one day after this video was posted. Harry Potter equals 65 in the same cipher. Again, going back to the magic stuff.
Yeah.
Like Prince of Wales, like the red dragon, which is the on the flag of the prince on the flag.
Harry Houdini.
Right. Yeah. Harry Houdini. Yeah. So look at this. The next person he pranks is a girl who played in Supernatural, which is about vampires, ghosts, demons, witches. He pranks her, Emily Swallow, kind of like you swallow when you drink something, right? Swallow, which equals, and she played the darkness in Supernatural. Her name is Emily Swallow, and she played the darkness, and they both equal 65. This is the only number I've been talking about, guys. William Shatner, 65. Prince of Wales, 65. He's William. Red Dragon, Harry Potter, Scar, Harry Potter. Her name just happens to be Emily Swallow, and she plays the darkness, and they both equal 65. So there you go. Two people now, both have the 65 connection. Both connected to essentially vampires and darkness. But wait, remember, Dracula also, I didn't even mention, but Dracula is also known as the Prince of Darkness.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned that back here, the Prince of Darkness. So she plays the darkness. And the Princess of the Darkness, or the Princess of Wales, just got cancer on 322, which is William Shatner's birthday. So then he goes to this guy, Wayne Knight. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Wow.
Wayne Knight, as in Bruce Wayne, who plays the Dark Knight, and he's a Batman, which is a vampire bat, which drinks you know what.
Wow.
And look at this. In the same cipher as William Shatner, Wayne Knight, 65, Prince of Wales, 65, the Red Dragon, which is essentially the same thing as Dracula. Dracula is a form of dragon. Yeah, and that's it. I mean, that's all I have. I'm sure there's more to it, but like, come on now. Like all three of the people that he confronts in this prank video have the 65 and have the connection to drinking and dark and like vampire, essentially.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then like on top of the fact he's wearing the red shirt too.
Yeah, and if you guys watch the video, there's no reason to think that I'm not on about this, because the first thing they talk about within 10 seconds of the video is drinking. You know what? I have the screenshot right there. That's the first thing they talk about.
Yeah, I was wondering if you were gonna mention like, well, because I think you might have decoded this before the moonchild stuff really started becoming more apparent. But I was kind of thinking about like the blood moon and the moonchild, like, because you're saying that you're talking about blood, and then he said something about like children. So like, I was kind of thinking about like how, like, you know, Trump being the moonchild, born on a blood moon. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And the Kate Middleton thing is pretty interesting too, because there was like that whole controversy with her, like people thought she like disappeared. Remember, they were like, "Oh, where's Kate Middleton?" And do you remember that?
Yeah.
So it's, kind of has that like disappearing type of thing, like a magician disappears.
Right. Yeah. And you know, I just can't think. I can't help but think that this is also, I mean, what are the chances he also mentions Boston and it's in Dallas?
Oh, yeah.
And this connects to the magic thing that's going on. Because again, William Shatner's 93 years old, and you're dead on about the connecting to the Trump blood moon. I'm pretty sure that's exactly how it's probably connected, also. But like the thing I was thinking is like think about the 90, like the magic in the 93, and how everything kind of like came together with the 93, but also, God, I lost my train of thought now. My girlfriend's texting me. Shoot, what was I going to say? Yeah, that's a good point. Someone in the chat mentioned something about bloodlines. I think someone did.
Oh yeah.
Oh, but I was going to mention about this Houdini thing. So Houdini has this connection to 65 because so Harry Houdini, he died on Halloween, right? So this all does connect to Halloween because all this stuff, magic, witches, vampires, all that connects to Halloween. And he died in Detroit, Michigan, the 313 area code. Big shout out to Dr. Savage. Go watch Dr. Savage's video he posted. If you're in the chat, Dr. Savage, post your link to your video. But anyway, he died on in the 313. Detroit is the 313 area code. He died on Halloween. He died at 52, right? So he died at 52 in the 313 area code. Last year, on November 9th, there was a song that came out called Houdini by Dua Lipa. And what are the chances that Dua Lipa happens to release her Houdini song on the 313 day of the year, which is the area code Houdini died in, and the 52 day left, which is the age he died at?
And Eminem's 52. I mean, Eminem's 52 right now, right?
I think no. Isn't he turning 52? Isn't he going to turn 52?
Maybe.
Well, don't forget abracadabra. If you write it the original way, equals 52. Let me look at Eminem, because Dr. Savage made a whole connection between next year on June 13th. It's funny that Dr. Savage made a whole video about June 13th next year, and then I just made a whole decode about June 13th this year. Yeah, he turns 52 on October 17th.
Oh, okay.
So 13 days before Halloween, he turns 52.
Oh yeah, I think wait, was Dr. Savage saying that that's Friday the 13th? Or
so
no,
yeah,
no, that's not.
so
That's Friday the 17th. Sorry. I'm stupid. I know he was talking about.
No,
Dr.
you're
Savage
kind
was
of.
talking about. What was that?
I said you're kind of right, because he talked about how there's two Friday the 13th this year, and they're separated by 13 weeks. And then next year, the only Friday the 13th is on Jason's actual birthday, 6/13.
Yeah, something like
Jason
that. Yeah,
from Friday the 13th.
Yeah, because I was like, there's no way that Eminem, if his birthday is October 17th, his birthday can't be Friday the 13th.
Right. Yeah.
That's what. But yeah, I think it was that makes more sense. That makes a lot more sense.
You know what I think of when I think of the real Slim Shady? It's an eclipse, man.
Let me see. Elaborate.
I don't know if you can see the screen, but
oh, oh yeah, okay. Dang,
but think about this though. The moon brings shade on the earth. It shades the sun, so it's like the real Slim Shady.
Dude, the 175 is really interesting. I was planning to talk about it soon, but the stuff we've been talking about with like the Woman of the Apocalypse, that has a lot to do with Mystery Babylon. Can you look up Revelation 17:5?
Yeah, hold on. Also, I wanted to mention, just to connect to the 418, The numbers 13 through 31, if you add them up, it equals 418.
Yeah.
So I think that's really part of what this is about. It's all about the eclipse. Because if you guys didn't catch, I forgot to go over Derek's thing from yesterday, but hold on, I'll do this first. 17.5, right?
Yeah.
All right, so this one?
Yeah, you can. Or I guess I could read it. So, or I can't. And upon her forehead, name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots, abominations of the earth. Yeah, so I'm pretty like when you read it, I'm pretty sure that's the same. It's the same like woman as like the Revelation 12 sign, I think, because in Revelation 12 it talks about the um like the beast with the 7 heads and 10 horns right after, like the verse right at like 2 verses after the Revelation 12 sign, and that's the same beast as the beast rising out of the sea with 7 heads and 10 horns, and then if you keep reading in Revelation 17, Mystery Babylon, it talks about her riding the beast. So I'm pretty sure like if it hasn't been established yet, I'm pretty sure the Mystery Babylon is the same woman of the, like that's the woman of the apocalypse, and you know, um, I believe that's also the same Babylon that Aleister Crowley is all obsessed with.
Oh, it is. It is. That's the one they're trying to summon.
Yeah, and then thinking about
That's the one they're trying to bring into a fleshly.
Yeah, and then what's interesting about the
crazy,
17.
bro. Oh, go ahead.
What's up? Oh, and I was gonna say, what's interesting about the 175 that connects to Venus even more, because like the Revelation 12 sign is the Venus transit. Well, the magic square Venus, it's all the numbers between 1 and 49 consecutively, and when you add up 1 plus 2 plus 3, all the way to 49, it's 175. So there's a big connection with the 17.5 and the 175. And just to add on, the last thing about that with connecting to Venus, so like his name's Eminem, but if you hear all his friends, like all the other rappers, everyone calls him M. Like everyone who's like he's close to calls him M. So like M's the 13th letter, and the movie that he came out with was 8 Mile. So you get the 13 to 8, like the 13 to 8 Venus ratio. Yeah. So
right.
I think there's definitely something there.
No, I mean just the fact that you mentioned this now, the 175 right here in the Crowley cipher. Well, if you just look in the ordinal cipher, you kind of get the same story, because if you type in the real Slim Shady in the same cipher, shit. Hold on. So the real Slim Shady equals Whore of Babylon. In the 71 cipher.
Oh, wow.
So you just also made that connection with the 175 that's led you to this verse. And then, of course, that equals Kamala Devi Harris also in the same cipher. That 71 is huge, obviously.
And do you remember that whole thing with
but yeah, it's
the inauguration, Joe Biden's inauguration, and like Kamala was like literally wearing, like she was wearing the exact outfit from that verse. Like look up the verse where it says that she was. Look up I forget which verse it is, but if you look up like Mystery Babylon, Scarlet Pearls or something, like the verse will come up, and when you read it, it's like she was wearing that exact outfit on the day of Joe Biden's inauguration.
Yeah. I like, let me see if I can get my computer to load here. It's going so slow right now. What did you say to type in again?
Type in like Mystery Babylon, Scarlet Pearls, and then the verse, and then type verse after, and then the verse should show up.
Oh yeah, this
So
one,
right before.
17:4.
Yeah. Can we see it, or can you read it if you can read it?
Yes, my computer's just so slow right now.
You can just read it out loud if you could read it. Or...
Yeah, I can't. I couldn't see the whole verse, but Casey's in the chat. Much love. He says he got a gem. So 17:4. The woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet and adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls, having in her hand a golden cup of abominations and filthiness of her fornication.
Yeah. Now look up like Joe Biden's inauguration and try to find a picture of Kamala. Like it's just like she's wearing that exact thing. That's why she's wearing purple, you know. I remember a lot of people made that connection at the time.
Yeah, and she's wearing the pearls even, you know, like.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a. Yeah, it's pretty clear, and I made that connection before because her name also equals Whore of Babylon, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's 71. Female president also equals that, so that's that in the same cipher. And yeah, and you know what I noticed a lot? I get a lot of 1020s coming up lately, like her birthday. Kamala's born on 1020.
Yeah.
And let me see if I can remember them, but I think Jack Parsons equals 1020.
Wow.
Witchcraft. I thought witchcrafts.
Well, wait.
Maybe it's in the standard.
Yeah.
Yeah, witchcraft equals 1020. Witchcraft also equals 1210, which is the day Aleister Crowley was born.
Oh wow.
And witchcraft, of course, equals Donald Trump in 3 out of 4. And then just the word witch equals 1020. So witchcraft, witch equal 1020. Jack Parsons, who obviously practiced witchcraft, equals 1020.
That's crazy.
You know, like that's Kamala's birthday. That's why I'm bringing it up. She's born on 1020.
Yeah, but hey, I have to clock back in, but I'll still be in the chat if you're gonna be on for a little bit longer. But I just gotta say bye, like
okay, man.
For right now.
All right. Well, me and Sean, we're gonna have a Sunday stream, Sunday, guys. So
yeah, I'll see you guys there. I'll see you there.
All right, man. Have a good day at work, man.
Thanks, man. I'll still be in the chat if you're gonna still be on for a little longer, though.
All right, man.
Okay. See you guys.
Yep. See you later. All right. Let's see what you guys got going in the chat. We'll stay on for a few more minutes. But I don't want to stay on too long. If you guys would please hit the like button. I got 91 likes. I feel like this stream deserves a bit more than that, but thank you guys who have hit the like button, and I appreciate you. If you guys want to support the channel, you can also go to the Buy Me a Coffee. I'd really appreciate that. That's only if you guys are able to. No pressure. Casey Jones Astrology says, Catherine Zeta-Jones, who is from Wales, Catherine, Princess of Wales, and Donald Trump were born on a lunar eclipse dates. Catherine, Princess of Wales, in the news today. Interesting. Catherine Zeta-Jones, who's from Wales. I didn't know she was from Wales. Wow. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's something there with Catherine, because there's also that Catherine the Great or whatever, something to look into. Let's see. So the game's going on right now. The soccer game, the Germany versus Scotland. I know some people were putting updates in the chat. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. With the Celtic countries, right? The Celtic Celtics, right? Crypto Cabbage. I don't know how exactly you say that, but Jack Parsons' birth name was Marvel Parsons. Yeah, his real name was Marvel, which is interesting, right? First Marvel Comics was released when he was 90,099 days old. The Angel superhero Golden Age hero was introduced in this issue. Yeah, that's crazy. Amazing share right there. Crazy. Whew. Good one. Um, yeah, Fig is saying people from Wales are Gaelic from Gaul, France. Yeah, there's a connection there. Good one. Cheds1 is saying Germany winning 3-0 over Scotland. Goal scorers are 17, 10, and 7. Wow, look at that, guys. Really heavy on the 17s. Now all we need is another goal by 7, and we'd have the 1177. So yeah, that would be interesting if the number 7 scores again. Yeah, let's see, guys. I think I'm going to get off because I don't want to stream too much. Yeah, it's already been an hour 41. So yeah, like again, guys, if you guys would hit the like button before you head out, I'd really appreciate that. And thank you guys for watching as always. And I hope you guys found this info. I don't know. I know this video didn't get so much attention, but I think it was pretty obvious. And again, go check out all the other decoders in the community who are doing great work. They also deserve all of the praise. Joseph Aquaviva doing amazing stuff. Sean, make sure you go check him out. Dr. Savage, Casey Jones, go check out his blog. Derek from Gematrinator, he's doing amazing work as also. Hopefully I might have him on a stream in a few days also. Check out the Illusion. He's doing good work always. And yeah, if you guys want to support the channel, please hit the like button. Please, there's a link at the top if you want to support. I appreciate every donation. It goes towards helping me just stay afloat. And yeah. Anyways, guys, have a good night. I will see you guys in the next video, probably on Sunday. And we'll see what happens between now and then. But much love. See you next time.